Hello and welcome to a brand new Blendhow tutorial. Today's tutorial is going to be on how to create a time vortex in Blender, and basically what that is something like this. Now, as you can see here, it's just a big long kind of cylinder at the moment, but if I zoom in here, you can see it's actually hollow. And basically, this looks quite complicated, but really, all it is, if I go to tab into edit mode, it is just one small section that I've applied that I've added an array modifier to make it very long. And then if I go to wireframe view, you can see there's a curve here, which is just a path that you would add like this, and then I've just shaped the path. And then what I've done is my array and curve on the thing, is I've just added a curve modifier and changed and put the curve's name in, the path's name in, and what it's done, it makes the array and mesh of the tube kind of follow the kind of curvature of the curve to make this shape. And basically, the best thing about this is if you edit the curve just a little bit, the tube moves with it. Sorry about that. So there can be endless possibilities of this. Now I'm using it to show you how to create a kind of time tunnel thing, time vortex that they use in Doctor Who for the titles. Now it isn't perfect, I'm going to own up now. So if I press Alt A, see, well, first of all it's quite slow, so I'm just going to drag it. But if I just drag that, you see, it goes along like that, and you can see it isn't perfect, but it does look quite a bit like the Doctor Who titles. By the way, it does it. Hang on, that's the end. If you just go along, hang on, if I say like that, see, you can kind of see the kind of Doctor Who titles effect there. And well, that's a bit faster. You see more in this bit. And there we are. And so yeah, that's basically what I'm going to be teaching in this tutorial. This effect can also be used for things like roller coasters. So say you wanted to make a roller coaster track, you could make one section of the track, add an array modifier to it, make it very long, and then add a curve, and then you have your roller coaster. And then what you could do is you could get your roller coaster object to follow that curve. effect. Now it doesn't look anything like the Time Vortex, I will own up to that, but if anyone has any ideas on how to make the materials for this, that would be very welcome. But anyway, let's get on with making our own. So if we go into our brand new Blender scene, we can get started by deleting the default cube. Right, so now what we want to do is go into front view by pressing numpad 1, and we're in front perspective view at the moment. Now I want to be in ortho just because sometimes it's easier, so I'm going to press 5. It's alright if you don't know what that means. It just basically, if it's easier to show from this view. Ortho looks like this, so you can see the grid like that, and if you press 5, then it kind of zooms in a bit, and it kind of looks different. But anyway, sometimes you can use different ones for different kinds of editing, but I'm going to use ortho at the moment. You can check which one you're in by there. So if we go to front view again by pressing 1, then we can add a cylinder. And how you add a cylinder is, sorry, I'll just delete that because I skipped ahead a bit there. How to add a cylinder is you press Shift A and you bring up this little add menu here, and you go under mesh, you go down to cylinder, and there you have it. You have a cylinder. Now we want it facing us in front view, so I'm going to take a line to view, which makes it facing us, and we want a hollow tube, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to untick cap ends, so it's a hollow tube. Now our cylinder is in the center, but if it isn't for you, then you can just press Alt G, and it will put it back in the center. So if I move it just to demonstrate, there you are. Press Alt G, and it goes back to the center. Sometimes it's easier to do that. Now, basically, all we have to do now is add an array modifier. So if we go to where the spanner thing is over here and click on it, then we come up with the modifiers panel, and under modifiers, if you go add modifier and you go straight to the top one here, array. Now this is what you'll get. Two kind of cylinders kind of conjoining or sitting right next to each other, really closely right next to each other. And we don't want that, or at least we want it. What we want is we want it. Now what? Actually, basically, at the moment it's copying this to make this one, but it's doing it along the x-axis. So as you can see down here, we have the x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. Now, if you can't see on the video, x-axis is red, the y-axis is yellow, and the z-axis, although you might not be able to see it, is blue, and they're all represented by arrows as well here. Now we want it going along the y-axis to make it longer, basically. So now what you do instead, the y-axis will always be the second one. So what we do, take off one there and add one here. And that hasn't worked, but the reason that hasn't worked is because now what we need to do is press Ctrl A and apply the rotation. And now, as you can see, it's gone to the right place. Basically, it's done that because we had to change the rotation of our cylinder to face us earlier. But anyway, now that's working well. I'm going to turn up the count. Basically, that just makes it longer. I'm going to put up to 40 for now. Now, that's nowhere long enough for the whole time tunnel, but I'm basically just showing you how to do it at the moment. So I'm just going to zoom in the center, so press Control and then dot on the numpad to zoom in on the 3D cursor. 3D cursor is this little target thing, by the way. Now that we have our tube, we want to add our curve. So if we go to Shift A and add a curve, go to Path, and there we are. Path. To be following the y-axis, which, thinking about it, is the way we want it to follow, so that makes sense. Anyway, here comes the fun bit. We select our curve here, select one of the points we moved, and we just move it, and as we can see, it's worked. And now we have a tube that we can completely move around and edit into any, pretty much any shape we want. So just play around with that, whatever you want. If you want to make the tube longer, you just go to the array modifier, turn the count up, and then if you want to edit that bit, you'll probably need to create a new bit of curve. So if you press Control and left click, then it will add a new point. Then you can see there. Then to add more points in between these 2 points, you just select them, press W, subdivide, there we are. Now what we can do, just move it out. There we are. Now as you can see, we have our long winding tube thing. So now that we have that, that is pretty much it. Except the last show you how. So now to do that, we need to recenter here. So just press Control and dot on the number pad, and that will center you on here. And now what we need to do is basically in front view, do Control Alt 0, and that brings our camera here. And now we just basically need to move our camera until it matches up with the tunnel. To help this, we can press Shift F to go into fly mode, and then we can zoom in and out to move our camera, and then press just left click to zoom back out again. And here we are inside our tunnel. Just put it just slightly inside the tunnel. So I'm just going to move it there. So it's just slightly inside the tunnel. And that's about right. But now, what we do is we need to select the camera by right clicking on it, then select the curve by shift right clicking on it, and then pressing Control P and then follow path. Now, hopefully, if all goes well, let's go out of wireframe by pressing Z. The camera should follow the path. So let's try it. Alt A, and here we are. Now the reason it's going a bit fast. Hold on. Press escape to get out of that. Now the reason it's going a bit fast. Just gonna move that up a little. Is because it's going over about 300, parts of this sections in under 100 frames. And the reason it's doing that is because under the path options, if we just go to the path, the evaluation time is set to 1. But I'm just gonna try something. It might be the frames. Sorry, it's been a while since I did this tutorial last. So if I set that to 300, say, then hopefully that will go slower. Now, if I set it back to 100 just to see the difference, yeah, you can see there that when it's set to 200, it zooms along, and when I change it to 300, it goes slower. So basically, the slower you want it, the more frames you add here. Though, be aware that that's, it is actually how many frames it will take to render. And also, but if you wanted to go quicker, set it to a lower value. So I'm just going to set it to 300, because that seems to work. Maybe 250. It's completely up to you, your personal preference. If it helps with the frames, it's about 24 frames per second. So basically, there's 24 frames in a second. If it helps, you can go to View, toggle frame seconds, and then it will show seconds here as well. So basically, at the moment, if I go to 250, that is when it ends, and that is, so they're like 10ish seconds. So yeah. Anyway, I prefer it as frames. Anyway, but one more thing. It looks a bit blocky, you might think. So, just to change that, just select the tube, press smooth, and now you can see it's a whole lot smoother, like that. Now, that's pretty much it for this tutorial on modelling a time vortex. A material inside here, so if anyone figures it out, please add a comment in. But if I manage to figure it out before then, I'll post up a new tutorial. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.